Please, may you introduce yourself?
Hello, Brett. Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Lucy Piper, and I'm a blues drummer based in Exeter, Devon.
A blues drummer, exclusively blues, or do you play other styles of music as well?
Yeah, I mean, as I said that, I was correcting myself in my head already. I'd say blues, soul, roots, anything that's kind of come out of the southern states of America is my forte, really. But no, I'm not. I shouldn't have pigeonholed myself straight away, but I guess blues is in my blood. It's my background. It's what I've been brought up on. So I guess it's kind of it's my number one genre, but yes, I play many other genres.
When you say it's in your blood, is there anything there you'd like to tell us about, or could you tell us about some of your history, your family history?
Yeah, my father, late father, Julian Piper, was a blues guitar player, but also a music journalist, writer, promoter. Um, Even had a radio show at one point on Radio 2. Um, yes, I mean, I was born and raised in a very musical family household. There was always musicians coming and going from, a lot of American musicians. It was quite normal for me to walk into my sitting room as a child and as some other character sitting on the sofa and thinking, where did they come from? But it was either someone that my dad was interviewing or promoting nearby, and he invited them over for a cup of tea or dinner or something like that. So yeah, I mean, going to gigs, festivals, and so on as a kid was normal for me, even though I think I wanted to be elsewhere. That via osmosis, it just, you know, it's obviously it was absorbed whether I liked it or not.
Right, yeah, okay. So that makes me think about a couple of different things. One, and I know this question might be like sort of relatively challenging to answer because you've never known what it is to be anyone else but Lucy, but do you think there was like a musical gene passed down from your dad, or is music something you've had to learn, or did it sort of come to you? Are you like, oh yeah, I can do this. This is yeah, what you want about? This is just music, right? You just do it, right?
Yeah, I think it must be in the genes. Um, Although potentially on both sides, because not that any of them are professional drummers, but there's quite a few drummers on my mum's side. Just
Right.
different people who have done it as hobbies, mostly men, although my mum did actually learn for a while. Um, but yeah, I started on guitar, so I started, following in my dad's footsteps from primary school age. He used to come to my school and teach me and others, and my brother also is a guitar player. Um, but yeah, I always was there at school tapping on the tables and with songs in my head. I always had rhythm in me. And so around 11, I made a conscious decision to start learning drums and moved away from guitar because the drums were just calling me very naturally. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay. And yeah, the other point I was thinking is you were telling a story about a little bit about your childhood growing up there is how does one, everybody wants to kind of rebel against their parents and do the different thing to their parents. And I'm just wondering what that's like if your parents are kind of relatively cool, which it sounds like they were. How do
Mm.
you rebel against, or was there a moment where you're like, actually, they're kind of cool, and I don't, I'm kind of in for it.
Now, I was rebelling in my own way because I hated blues, ironically. I listened to the absolute opposite of what my dad would try and play me. Little girl, I would listen to a lot of dreadful pop music and emo bands in my teenage years. And I, yeah, I couldn't have been further in terms of what I was listening to what my dad was playing downstairs on the record player or trying to kind of show me the way, you should be listening to these records, not that garbage. So that was my way of rebelling, I guess. And maybe the fact I went from guitar to drums was also a, a little act of, I'm going to go my own way. We don't need three guitar players in the family, I thought. Three out of four was a bit much. Like to have Sam, my dad, and me. And yeah, it just didn't seem very balanced. You can't have a family band with three guitar players, can you? So,
I don't know. I'm a bit biased though, because guitar's my instrument, so I would
yeah,
say yes, you could, yeah. But
fair.
are you willing to divulge an age or an age bracket that you are? I'm trying to put into context when you say what you were listening to. I'm trying to think about who that might be.
Oh, do you think I am?
I am not playing that game.
Okay. Well, I like that game. I'm 34, but I
Okay,
still get read sometimes, so hopefully I don't look my age.
brilliant. Okay. So, so 20 years ago you were 14, which would have been 2005. So teenage years. Ah, so you like pop punk emo, like Avenged Seven and My Chemical Romance and
Yeah, Cat Blink 182, Green Day,
right, okay.
U2. I mean, as a at primary school age, I loved the Spice Girls and Wheatus and all those terrible acts.
Were
Well,
you
no,
just
the Spice Girls were legendary, weren't they? So
were you
they
just a
did
teenage dirtbag?
pretty much, yeah, yeah. I did used to love that song.
I still
Um,
do. I still do. It makes me emotional at the end when she goes and asks him to go and see Iron Maiden.
I'm not sure I can bear listening to it much anymore, but
Okay.
yeah, no, I think my dad took me to my first big gig, which was Green Day at Plymouth Pavilion.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean that. However, whatever band you're listening to, if they get you into music, into playing an instrument, especially when you're a child, that's the key thing, isn't it? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
whatever gets someone on that path, because
And
then
did
you can learn and get wiser as you get older, hopefully.
and did you not get the either friendly talk slash lecture about, well, listen, I mean, I could play you where this stuff came from. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I did have a lot of that,
right.
and probably half the time I was open to it, and half the time I wasn't. But my memory is that I truly rejected it. I mean, I think I always loved watching anything live. Yeah, I would always appreciate the musicianship. Even as a child, I would be in awe of probably the drummer. But yeah, I always appreciated the gigs and things that we went to. It was more just I didn't want to hear it the rest of the time. But anyway, I don't want to put it down too much because I've gone full circle. So, you
Well,
know,
yeah. I mean, and you talk about appreciating the music, the performance and the musicianship. You know, irrespective of what somebody might think about. I was thinking about this the other day for some reason. Irrespective of what somebody might think of any genre of music, anyone listening is like, well, Green Day isn't really my thing, but you kind of can't deny that they know what they're doing. From what I've seen of their live performances, they're pretty tasty. They're pretty capable. There's no small reason why they're still about decades later, and
yeah.
people still want to go and see them. Um,
And from when you're 16 and you're watching the Green Day drummer or Blink 182's drummer, that for me was so inspiring. And as I
right.
say, whatever it is that makes you want to get better, that's the key thing, isn't it? So
Were there other? For some reason I want to ask you about only because it wasn't that long ago that I watched The Dirt for the first time. That Motley Crue, the kind of not
Mhm.
documentary, but sort of like a biopic of them.
I only know of Motley Crue because my second band ever, they were quite obsessed with Motley Crue and some of those other back, potentially Guns and Roses and people like that. And when we would be on tour, they'd be playing it in the tour bus, and I was like, oh no, you know, I couldn't stand it, to be honest. Forget it's not my bag. but
the
they
main
forced it down my ears. So
the main the
thanks.
main the major thing that's coming up for me is just the imagery of the drummer in a sort of rig cage thing they set up so that as he's drumming, the whole thing's spinning around as well and like moving around the stage and whole load of palaver like that going on. Which yeah,
Wasn't that Jerry Jordison in Slipknot? I think he'd be going round and round. And so I don't know how he did that. But yeah, when you're a teenager and you're learning an instrument and you're seeing people do things like that, then yeah, it's fuel for the fire to like I want to do that too. So
yeah. So you were saying so at first it was guitar, then you made a very conscious choice to move from guitar to drums. What sort of age were you then?
it's a bit of an overlap, but I started having drum lessons at 11, and then
Wow.
I was still playing guitar a bit on the side, but guitar never came that naturally, as in songwriting, things like that. I could, if my dad showed me something, I could sort of play it back to him, but I didn't, wasn't a natural with sort of progressing from A to B with it all. I was more just able to play back rather than creating my own songs and things like that. Whereas with drumming, it just was really natural for me. And of course, I had someone to play with. I was always jamming with my dad ever since I was able to. So he'd play guitar and I'd play along with him, different blues tunes and surf tunes, even when I was, yeah, probably 12, 13, that kind of age.
Because I think there's something in that. I'm always aware also of that idea that irrespective of genes, the nature side of it, the nurture side, like as I'm guessing then like I think you're getting at, you grew up in a house where if you wanted to do drum practice, you didn't have a set of parents that were like, could be making a racket again, are you? It was more like, oh yeah, let's get a guitar, let's jam then, let's play.
Wow, actually, I've never had a drum kit at home. So no, I never inflicted racket on anyone. Um, it's not posh, but it's got a little garage type thing, a couple minutes from my house on a in an old garden that we kept. And it sounds more posh than it is. It's on a scrap of land and it's cold and it's damp, but that's where my drum kit is. So I play away from earshot of anyone.
Okay.
One has to listen to it. But I think we must have had that ever since I started learning. So I think I've been very fortunate to have some kind of drum kit ever since then. Yeah.
Nice. And then you were talking about your first band that, or one of your early bands that you were in. How soon was it? So you're 11, you started having drumming lessons. You're clearly quite into it. You keep going. I'm guessing you go all the way through comprehensive school, having drum or continuing to play. How long was it before you were in your first band?
Yeah. Ironically, I was always so shy. And I said I never wanted to play in front of anyone other than just jamming with my dad because he was always encouraging me to get a band together or do a gig, and I was adamant it was a no. And then I changed schools when I was 16, went to college, and then it was from making friends just with other musicians. Then that's how the idea of having a jam with other people came about. And then, so my first band was when I was 16 at college. That's when I would have done my first gig in Exeter, probably at the Cavern, which is an underground venue, quite grungy. It's quite well known, been there a long time. Exeter used to have quite a few good venues where people would just pay between £3 and £5 to go and see 3 or 4 bands. And it would always be busy with college students. Um, yeah, if only it was today still.
Yeah. And so did you do music at college or were you doing other subjects?
Funny enough, I never did it at school, college, nothing. Just always had private lessons till I was 18. And yeah, so I guess playing in bands was a game changer for me. Because there is only so much you can do by yourself.
Mm.
Even though I would play along to music and stuff, there's nothing like doing it live in front of an audience to really, you know, kick you in another direction and yeah, and grow as a musician. So yeah, from 16 onwards I've been gigging ever since, and I've almost 20 years of gigging now and bands.
Right. And when you say 20 years of gigging, is that so is,
18, I say.
is it a full-time job, and for how long has it been a full-time, if it is, or do you do any other work?
There it is. Now it's performing as my primary income, and December is not the best month for it, especially when you play blues. So for about the last 10 years, I've I've been semi-professional, probably the last five professional, um, as in solely making my income from music. I have done teaching in the past, and I do a bit of promotion locally. I put various gigs on. Um, but yeah, I mean, I trained as a photographer. I'm also into writing in a big way. So I have other passions and interests, and but they don't make me any money at the moment. But yeah, so music gigging is my main thing. Session drummer and have a few bands that I play with regularly as well.
And it sounds like, I mean, you just described some other pretty creative um interests. I was very careful. I didn't want to say hobbies because they're like, to be into photography and writing. I kind of dislike it sometimes when, but we got a nice little hobby, have you? Like, no, not really. I'm kind of really quite into it, actually. It's not really a hobby. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. But at the
Well,
same time, go on.
I did my degree in press and editorial photography. So that
Right.
I went to Falmouth University for 3 years and did that and did work experience at a picture agency and a big newspaper. And yeah, I was a freelancer for about 3 to 4 years after graduating. So that was my profession for a while. Um, and then I was always going between photography and music and unsure which discipline should I put more effort or time into. And yeah, it was kind of a life-changing trip in 2016. I went to, well, Memphis to New Orleans, but I spent the majority of the time in Mississippi, and my dad was with me. And that's when I got to play with loads of people. I'd been out before, um, as a child and as a teenager, but this was the first time going back as more of an adult and heavily into drumming and the music and photography. So all my things were combining in this town, Clarksdale, and yeah, that changed my life. Meeting loads of fascinating artists, musicians, characters, people making a living and achieving, just doing really cool stuff and making a living out of it was really eye-opening for me. And but yeah, I guess from a music point of view, jamming with all these guys out there. And then when I came home, I just couldn't wait to get back out there. So it became a thing. Like every 6 months, I was going to Mississippi. Um, at one point, I went for 3 months out there. So I've spent a lot of time out there. Yeah.
Was there like a specific thing? I really I want to delve into that because that sounds like, when you say a life-changing moment, was there a very specific moment, or was it a slow, gradual realization that first time that you're out there, or what happened?
Yeah, because as I said, being out there before, we'd all been as a family, the four of us, my mum, my brother as well. So I kind of had hazy memories of going there, but I knew I wanted to go back having a newfound love for the genre and whatnot. And also with kind of a journalistic head on as well, of wanting to interview people, photograph people. So no, it wasn't like from day one, but we spent a week there of the 2.5 weeks. back in October 2016. I had Arts Council funding to be there as well, which was
Nice.
always nice. The one and only time that I've got it from them, but still grateful. But yeah, I spent a week there, and by the end, yeah, I didn't want to leave. My dad and I were like trying to hatch a plan of how can we, potentially, because there's a lot of very cheap property out there as well. Not that I'm rich, because what musician is unless you're very famous. But we were both so in love with it and the people and just the whole community. We were like, how can we spend more time here? We were both like eager to get back straight away. But can't remember what the question was now.
Just whether it was like some big explosive moment or a gradual realization of just
Over the week, yeah, because when we left at the end of that week, I genuinely felt just really heavy and sad, and but also then I was thinking, how can I get back here like soon? Yeah, I knew it was a no-brainer. Like I was hooked, really. It felt like I'd had a new addiction, which was Clarksdale. Just the energy of the place was, yeah.
and did you get to play while you're out there or
Yeah, every night in Clarksdale. It's like, because we met on night one, I think we went to the Jam at Ground Zero, which is, well, it's quite famous because Morgan Freeman owns it. So it's one of the
right?
main blues clubs in Clarksdale. It's put Clarksdale on the map in a big way, brought a lot of money and tourism and whatnot into the town, which is pretty deprived and has, a lot of history there. So yeah, the town sort of is, depends on blues tourism, keep it alive, to be honest. So yeah, every Thursday night they have a jam, and I'd already contacted some people prior to going out there to kind of scope out where to go, what to do, and whatnot. And so, yeah, met some people that I'd spoken to online, and just from night one, we were just so welcomed. And as soon because we played on night one at the jam, then the following night, if we walked into a different club in town, it's a small place, there was someone that we'd already met from the night before who was like, either Lucy and Julian are here, got to get them up to play a couple. So I played every night for a week that I was there, and then 6 months later I went back on my own. They have a festival every April called Jute Joint Festival, and I went and stayed with some people that I'd met, kindly put me up, and went out for 2 weeks on my own. And then it became like a bit of a thing. For 3 years I went every 6 months, and for longer and longer.
Wow. Nice.
Got to play with some, yeah, incredible characters and musicians, and sadly some of them are no longer here, and I knew that would be the case. I knew it was like a special moment and sort of an opening and access to this world that wouldn't always be there like that. So
That's really amazing. If you recognized that it was a moment in the moment, you know, like not everybody gets that chance to, or not everybody has that realization while it's happening that like, wow, this is a thing right now.
yeah, I mean, I had the luxury, I guess, of time and some kind of independence, and was single, no commitments, no relationship, no children. So I just put it on credit cards pretty much. I'd made a lot of friends, so I often had somewhere to stay out there. So it was really just a flight and then a kind of drum for my food and drink money. I didn't really go anywhere else when I was there. So I kept my costs down, just putting flights on credit cards.
It doesn't sound like you needed to go and do anything. It sounded like you were perfectly content doing the thing you love.
Yeah, it was the 3 months there was a bit testing. I was dating a guy out there as well, actually. Um, I became less of an outsider and more very involved in the, in the community and in the certain groups and kind of maybe too involved. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm almost seeing more than I want to see. Or it was incredible and I'm still friends with people, but it was almost like I was too entrenched, need to take a step back a bit, maybe not go every 6 months, maybe every year.
You were beginning to become part of the inner circle.
Yeah, yeah, it
Right.
was eye-opening. I've done a lot of writing about it.
Did you then start to get involved in politics that you didn't want to be involved in? Or,
Uh, Slightly,
uh,
probably just socially,
right,
I became literally a local, which was
right.
cool, but also can start to like slightly crowd your perspective, like you need to remind yourself why you're there. And yeah, but I got a lot of great pictures from being in the inner circle, and I've written a lot about it, and got to play with so many great artists out there.
Nice. Nice. And did you get those pictures and any of those articles published? Are they out there in the world?
Now I'm kicking myself because I've never really done anything with it, and it's all on the archive, on my hard drives. Um, Thousands, probably tens of thousands of pictures, and then obviously I've got loads of notebooks. I had, I don't know, about 6 years ago. Yeah, very much I was focused on I'm gonna make an exhibition with these pictures. I'm gonna make a book. I'm gonna write a book. Have I done any of it yet? No. Do I still want to? Yeah. Will I find the time? Maybe. And
Well,
motivate.
it's only you that can decide that. So we shall wait with bated breath to see.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think I used to have more when I had more of my photography head on, I would sit for a lot longer at the computer and be quite disciplined with going through pictures and sending things off to people. I've had the odd kind of feature where some of my American pictures have been shown. I've done exhibitions with other work, like I did a project um, in the Bible Belt of Tennessee, and I did a project called Small Town America, and I did a couple of exhibitions with that. But I've never done anything with my Clarksdale work. I think because I was adding to it um, incrementally. It was a growing body of work that I wasn't ready to put it out yet because I hadn't finished it in my head, and that's why I never did anything with it because I still saw it as evolving. But now I've had such a break from it. Maybe I should just do something with what's there. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to talk about it more, like
Maybe
this.
maybe some inspiration will come to you at some point. Who knows?
I just hate, having to sit at a computer. I'm a bit of a technophobe. I'm old school. I like notebooks and pen and paper. Probably should have had a film camera, to be fair. Um, I get overwhelmed by the amount of files, and you know,
Right. Okay.
I need someone to help me go through it all. That's what I feel. Because it's too easy on your own to just walk away.
So bringing it back to the drumming and the music,
Mm.
and you were saying that at the moment you're in a couple of different bands.
Yeah.
Where are we
Had
at
a
with
lot
that? Tell us about
change this year because obviously, well, last year slash this year, the end of an era with my duo Southern Pride Groove Queens, which I was in that for 3 years. We did 3 UK tours. We went to Norway multiple times. We put a record out, and that was my lifeblood, was that band. So this year has been a big year of change and adjusting, and so I've got some new projects. One being similar thing to what Groove Queens was doing, but a bit more bluesy than rocky, with a guy called Casper Berry Rapkin, who I met in Clarksdale in Red's Juke Joint in 2019, which is pretty cool. And then we've come together to, we've created a duo. It's called just simply Casper and Lucy. So we've already been on tour with that this autumn, and we've already got quite a bit in for next year, so that's cool. I'm Mississippi McDonald's kind of second drummer, as he's got a drummer in London, that's where he's based, but I've been doing other shows around the country with him, but I'm also going on tour in Europe with him next year, which is exciting, in March. We're going to go to Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany. So
Nice.
that's in March. I play with a guy called Stomping Dave, a tap dancing multi-instrumentalist, sort of blues roots Americana. And then I've got another new project called Extra Tacos with double bass player Ian Jennings, who is legendary on the scene, and a guitar player called Richie Lane. So that's a very new one that we'll be gigging with that. And then I sort of session sometimes with Liam Ward or Folk Star, Phil Beer, whoever hits me up, the recording work. So that's currently the situation.
Where can people keep like track of what you're doing and where you're next gigging with whoever it may be?
I've got Facebook and an Instagram, which is at Lucy Piper Drums, Piper. I've also got a website, www.lucypiperdrums.com, and I try and keep Casper and Lucy's page pretty up to date, and Stomping Dave, so anyone else I don't have control over. But so that's the links. If anyone, maybe you can put them on the page as well. I don't know.
I will endeavour to do so. Yes. And if people want to see any historical stuff, have you got stuff up on those pages on the Facebook and the Instagram?
I've got in my little about me on my website. I've got a bit of a history of who I've played with my whole drumming career. There's pictures, videos on there, and also if they want to look at my dad, it's julianpiper.com. Or if you just put Julian Piper, so blues guitar, into Google, stuff will come up. So
well, we're going to start wrapping this up, but I think there's a lot more to talk about, and I think I would like to I'd like to talk with you again, if that's all right.
Yes. In a minute or another time? Part 2.
We could do a part 2 another time. I think this has been a great. Sorry, say again.
We could talk about Mississippi some more.
Definitely. I think you've touched on a lot of really interesting stuff, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I've yet to mention. But let's get started with this.
Okay. Yeah.
But my pleasure. What is it? We are sort of early December 25. When's your next gig? When are you next playing?
Next gig is the 19th of December, Leamington Spa at Temperance with Mississippi McDonald, which I'm looking forward to. So next Friday, very soon. And then after that, 30th of December, the Canteen in Bristol with Stomping Dave. Beyond that, January, Stomping Dave in New Milton Forest Arts Centre. Get around quite a bit, I guess.
Nice. Good. Well, like you said, go and check out Lucy Piper Drums on Facebook and Instagram, yeah? Is it?
Or website.
or the website.
Gems.com. Yeah,
Brilliant.
thanks to anyone that's made it this far. It's impressive. They might not have done, in which case we just cling to each other.
Well, I hope they have, because, and like I say, I think there's still more to explore.
There
Yeah,
sure is.
I think we could definitely be doing. I mean, if it was up to me, we'd be doing a regular thing, but we'll discuss that off air.
Thank you for having me.
But yeah, no, it's a pleasure, Lucy. Thank you, thank you, thank you for letting us know a little bit about your history and where you're at right now. And like I say, let's definitely catch up again very soon.
Oh, of course.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you, Brett.